Hi, what LLMs do you use for each specific task? So I'm going to give you my list of what I use and when I use it and why. This is basically a follow-up video to an article I wrote, which I'll link somewhere, which is basically all LLMs and all AI should have a seat at the table. Just like you have many different employees with different strengths and weaknesses, you should have many different AI, LLM models, whatever we want to call them, doing different things. They all have their different strengths and weaknesses. So here's the breakdown of what I'm doing the beginning of February as far as which model I'm using for what. So I'll start with Gemini. I use Gemini for anything graphics or video related. So if I want to generate the final output being some kind of image or video, I will use Gemini. Their video and image creation in my mind is the best. I may use other tools to create the content or the image prompting if I want to dial that in, more specifically. But the output, the LLM I use for the output is Gemini. I use OpenAI for research and general question probing. I also use OpenAI with the Data for SEO MCP to do my SEO analysis. So as far as analysis and research, I use ChatGPT. I use Claude Sonnet for anything that I consider tactical. So Claude Sonnet is way faster than using Opus. If you're using, use less tokens, less API credits cost, depending on how you're paying for it. So Sonnet is really good at doing conversions for me from HTML to Markdown to JSON, things like that. They're just really tactical. Just go through and execute this for me. There's not a lot of reasoning involved. So some SEO creation, I use it for that, but mainly content, format conversions. I use Claude Opus now 4.6 to do my coding. So any of the coding videos you see today, anything I would update, I would use Opus for that. It does the best job at reasoning, planning, debugging. If my final output is something like a PowerPoint slide, if I want a PowerPoint slide, I will use Notebook LM as the final generator of the PowerPoint. It does a great job of creating the PowerPoint, but again, I may use different tools to get the content into Notebook LM. So like, creating Word docs or creating rough images or whatever, diagrams, network diagrams, things like that. I will use, maybe I use other tools and then I will put those into Notebook LM to create the PowerPoint for me. Lastly, of course, I do use local models locally on different projects. If you've seen my news aggregator for the Sounds Like Sharks news, I do use a local Olama and Quinn 1.5 billion parameter model to do my news aggregation, classification, filtering, tagging. That's basically the biggest model that could do the best on the hardware that it's running on. So I do have different models for that, and depending on which hardware I'm running, I may choose different models. So that's just a quick what I'm using, today. I do test lots of things because, again, as I said, AI world moves fast and you've got to keep changing. So I do constantly test everything that comes out. But yeah, if you have specific questions or specific things that you're using, let me know. And thanks for watching.